folks. Welcome to a very exciting episode of the Cracked Gaming Podcast. This is episode 9. We are going to skip the pleasantries as we have a special guest joining us. As always, my name is Ben, one of your co hosts, and we have Dylan, our other co host. But most importantly, we have Darlene. Now, Darlene, you did send me your bio and I read it, but I want to let you
Mhm.
introduce yourself.
Oh,
You're obviously the CEO, sort of owner of DB Addict Studios, but I think you're probably much more than that.
just a little bit. I'm a PhD student at UMass Lowell, where I'm a TA. I'm doing research,
Oh,
and
awesome.
everything I do has to do with games. So I'm doing a computer science degree, and it has to do with games, introducing emotions and touch. So when you're in there beating the bejesus out of someone, you know, you're gonna feel something.
Sure.
That's kind of the goal.
Interesting.
Originally, when I started my research, it was to when I'm communicating with my kids when I'm overseas, I'll be able to reach out and touch them. Because
Oh, okay.
you're like looking at the picture and you keep reaching, and
Sure.
that's where it started. But everything I do has to do with games in some way.
Wow.
So
A
yeah.
lot, all right, a lot to unpack there right off the bat. I want to,
Sorry.
no, not at all. I want to start with a very simple but sort of fond question that we ask our guests. What is the first sort of video game experience that you remember? Did you play
Okay.
Pac-Man? Was
Um,
it
I'm
Tetris?
gonna destroy any idea you have about people starting in games. I didn't touch a computer till my 20s.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't come from that background of having a computer to play with. Like my kids, they complain
Sure.
about, console versus PC, Gary's mod versus whatever. I had none of that. Okay. Sorry, bad English, whatever.
No, no, no.
Um, I was in the military and I got out of the military and
Oh.
then I discovered games. It was kind of
Ah.
something I did in my undergrad years, Diablo. So
Oh,
my first video game experience is Diablo 1.
oh, okay.
So,
Wow.
I don't know. Did I just
Um,
mess up your ideas about gamers?
hey, gamers
No,
come from
not at
all over
all.
the world, all different experiences. I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of the diversity here.
Yeah. So
Dill,
I
were you a
mhm.
Diablo person?
I was not. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't much of a PC guy as it was, but yeah, I know that there have been some remasters that have been coming out that look pretty good. So I've been tempted to pick it up a few times. That's for sure.
You can always go to GOG.com. They have Diablo 2. And
Okay.
I hate to admit that I still play Diablo 2
There
on
you
my
go.
PC,
Good to know.
you know?
Some games you can just never put down.
Yeah, so on Discord, when students are looking for me, it says I'm playing Diablo. Oh well. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
So
now we know how you kind of got into the gaming scene. What got you into the video game creating scene? What kind of spawned that idea?
okay, I've worked in databases, systems, I've worked for big names. I'm gonna drop names. Oh well.
Go for it.
Compaq. Before Compaq there was DEC. And I actually worked in the building that DEC used to be in. I still bank with
Hmm.
DCU, which is a
Okay.
DEC, bank from
Okay.
way back. I know I
Yeah.
hate when people say back in the day. Well, way back. Anyway, so DEC, Compaq became HP.
Hmm.
Um, I worked for
Yeah.
Oracle. I worked for Dyn and then Teradyne,
Wow.
which
Okay.
became Oracle. You hear the Dyn, Teradyne,
Yep.
the computer science. You hear that, the little
Yeah.
and the big.
Hmm.
Anyways, sorry. So I've worked for all these different names, and 4 years ago, I got a call. I was on a remote team, and we worked all weekend for a month, and they're like, You're an integral part to our profit. Monday morning, we're letting you guys off.
Oh,
Oh,
So we were an integral part to the bottom line,
yeah.
just not the one you want to keep, you
uh,
know? So,
oh
so
man.
while he was saying his business, I started looking up the incorporation for a studio. The last 4 years prior to that,
Mm,
my children were doing a lot of comics and things, and one of them stuck with me, Stinky Snake, and I figured, you know what? What the heck? Why not? I can curse myself versus a new boss. I can, be upset with me. And I took the leap. It hasn't been easy, but
Sure.
what the hell? What the heck?
No, it's all
It's
right.
a place. It's what the Hades. It's a
There,
place.
there
there
you
That's
we
go.
go. There we
it's
There
a
go.
you go.
place. It's not a curse word.
I don't want to skip over your sort of, I don't know if we want to call it your early professional career, but you mentioned your service. What branch of service were you in?
I was a wave. Navy.
Okay,
Mm.
okay.
Yes,
And
yes.
and are you able to tell us what you did for them?
It was a wonderful time.
That
That's what
sounded
that's what a spy would say.
a little
No, no,
programmed
no.
there.
I
I like.
wasn't a spy. I drank a lot. I partied a lot. It
I
was the
love it.
peak of my youth.
Awesome.
So
I love it.
Well, we would be remiss if we didn't say, we really appreciate your service.
Absolutely.
That's
that's over.
tremendous.
Long time ago. Move on. Games.
James, love it.
Sorry.
And
Sorry.
so I think this has to do with your games because you mentioned your children. How many children do you have?
5. 4 in the US, 1 is overseas. Yeah.
Wow.
And no, I'm not a baby mama. Okay.
No, no, not at all.
Sorry.
And
I
so no, go ahead, go ahead.
I I have children with different ideas of what they want to be. Like my son says he has no interest in coding, but guess who is, doing 3D art on his own? I bought the books for Blender, and I present them, and for years, I don't want to do that. Now, guess who's doing that? Guess who's like a king of Gary's mod,
I
creating
love it.
these what do you call it? Doctor Who worlds and things, Um,
Sure.
they're command line kings and queens, and we don't want to be coder like you, mommy. But
I like it. Just a little, not necessarily this is what you have to do, but a little nudge in the right direction. I like it.
I am a facilitator.
Exactly.
I make it available, and I show them the good and the bad. When we get a not so
Sure.
good review, when we get a good review, they get to enjoy it. When I have to stay up days at a time trying to get stuff done, they get to see it. So,
Sure.
you know,
I love it. That's top tier parenthood right there. So I understand too. Another aspect of your top tier parenthood. A lot of your family is part of your team there at DB Attic Studios. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
yes, my eldest, who just graduated high school, she doesn't want to go to college, so she has to intern with me. It's my version of a gap year, so she has to do
Interesting.
game. She's my QA person, my writer. Sometimes when I'm too busy to do Instagram, she takes the picture, decide. I look at it briefly. Yeah, go with it. Okay. So she's learning the ins and outs, because in my mind, I want her to take over the business end of it, because that's where I
Gotcha.
think her qualities are.
Sure.
She also does music. She does the music for the games, along with my son. Um, my second daughter, who's always in a mask. If you look at my Instagram feed and you see a furry running through somewhere, that's my second daughter. Okay. As soon as we can get back to PAX, she will be going in a furry suit because we went to our first PAX years ago, a couple
Sure.
years back. It was so intimidating. Look at all these big things, and here we are with our little puny game.
No, no, I love it. I
you
love it.
know.
Small but
So
powerful.
Yeah.
so the next time she'll be going in her full furry, one of her furry costumes. So that's the second one. My third one is my son. He does videos. He does helps me with the videos. Um, what else? Music too. If it has to do with guitar, he will. And he also is exploring 3D art. He wants to do a 3D game. So
Very
that's
cool.
kind of one of our next projects. And then my fourth daughter, Bridget, she does testing and she can be a little bossy. Okay. Some people say she's like her mother, but
Uh,
I don't. I'm not bossy. I just,
you're just right all the time. It's
There
okay.
you go.
oh, we can be friends.
There
Awesome.
you go. I
No, no, no.
understand how that
When I'm
works.
wrong, I can admit I'm wrong, but it don't happen often.
So I'm gonna put you a little bit on the spot here.
Okay. What did I do?
No, nothing at all. So I'm actually very interested on a side note. So Dylan and I also do a different series called Subject Matters, where we
Mhm,
sort of take popular sort of current events that are happening, and we hash out our personal feelings about it, and we call it our own little mini debate show, which is on
mhm,
YouTube. Our topic this past week
mhm,
was about colleges sort of as brands and whether we really think we need to go to college. So a little background about myself. So I'm a nurse practitioner. I work in emergency medicine full
mhm,
time. Dylan's aspiring to go to medical school. Both of us have enormous amounts of college debt, sort of required by our professions.
mhm.
But I'd be, as you're saying, your daughter is sort of working for you and interning for you, and maybe a little bit reluctant to go to college. I follow I follow a lot of computer science development communities,
Oh,
and there's this large sort of teach yourself to code startup community um, that sort of propagates the idea that maybe you don't necessarily need a college degree if you learn the applicable skills. Now, I think this is super interesting to then ask a college professor and
I'm
PhD
not a
student her
professor.
thoughts.
I'm a teaching
Teacher's
assistant.
assistant.
I'm more of emotional support barrier. The one that was, well, typically you don't have teaching assistants speak for the students, but I tend to. If I see someone's having trouble, why don't we move the deadlines?
Yeah.
Or
I wish I had you around more
I
often.
was gonna say the TA that everybody loves, huh?
yeah, or those deadlines. Oh dear. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Deadlines are somebody's construct. Okay, school is about learning, not these bloody constructs. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna say it. Okay,
Yeah, have it out.
I'm a black woman. If I walk into a company to go for a job, there are all these invisible or created man-made obstacles. Having those degrees, it kind of moves some of them out of the way. Not all of them,
Sure.
okay? My grandmother, who's been dead for a long time, she was the granddaughter of a woman who was a slave. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this
No, no, not
weird,
at all.
but
No,
but
please.
I'm
No,
gonna
please.
say this.
Yeah, please.
She told me the one thing that you can have that cannot be taken from you is your education. It's your intellectual property that cannot be taken from you. Okay? That said, I have uh, a terabyte ton. There's a different word. Terabyte ton of student debt. And that will go. I'll deal with it. My children, on the other hand, by being a teaching assistant and becoming a professor at some point, I'm making the way for my children to get access to college education. So it's not just about me, it's about the
Sure.
people I'm pulling with me. There are ways to do it. There are ways to do it without the huge debt. The last year and a half, I've been TAing. It's not easy balancing this job that it
Sure.
benefits a lot, but what do people like me get in corporate America? This
Absolutely.
is my used to be my designer person clothing allowance probably. You know, I'm just I'm not this uh I'm not making fun of what I have. I'm very appreciative because it's not just me. It's
Of
my
course.
kids and then hopefully their kids. So, college education. uh, As a developer, I think it's freaking important. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, Doctors, you need to be in school for that. Okay.
Sure.
you know,
Hmm.
I know there are people that are healers. My grandmother was a healer, and her grandmother was a healer. But when you want somebody to cut you open, you want them
Hmm.
to know what they're doing. Okay. So, okay, college education, I think, is important. When I address a problem, I look at it in an abstract manner, and whether, you know, this design pattern or whatever, yeah, there's that's good and fine. But it gives you this ability to dissect problems and then go in and deal with the little bits and uh, I
Yeah.
I know you can learn this stuff on your own, but hopefully when you're in college, you get those professors that okay, I had a professor who worked I'm sorry, I'm full of stories. I
Yeah,
have a
no,
Go
please.
ahead.
I
This
have a
is your
prof-
time.
thank you. I had a professor who worked for IBM. The one who caught my attention, it was a C programming class, and he was talking about algorithms, and he turned it into a recipe for making cookies. And then he was talking about the ingredients, for a good algorithm for making cookies. And he
Sure.
said margarine, like butter. Okay. And at that moment, he got me. It's like he became my advisor. I shifted from accounting to computer science, and he was my advisor. It's like he caught me. He found where it was interesting, and and I've
Sure.
been I've left after each degree and said I'm not doing this anymore. I even burnt my intro to algorithms, that big text that costs way too much. I put it in the wood stove after my master's and said, I will never do this ever, ever, ever again. I'm gonna write books and do something else.
I love it.
6 months later, I'm
Re-enroll. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So I know that was a long way of going. It depends. It depends
Sure.
on what you're trying to do. But for computer science, the theory is important. Operating systems, I'm going to say it, and somebody's going to be upset. I absolutely hate operating systems. That the textbooks haven't changed much, yeah, it's over there. There's an advanced algorithm. I'm sorry, there's an advanced operating system textbook that's over a decade old. That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Why are we still studying it? You know? Sorry.
No,
You're
not
doing
at
good. I
all.
love I love hearing these perspectives.
So I think it's important, okay? I think it's important. It depends on what you want to get out of it. If you
Sure.
want to make games, I think start making them now. But if you want to get deep in there, yeah. Anyhow, that was my long, long answer.
No, I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
believe me, you are talking to someone who married a teacher, and both my parents are teachers. So
Hmm.
I
You've
have a,
heard it.
I have a special appreciation for the educational world.
Yeah.
So yeah, pivoting a little bit. We only have name dropped it I think once now, but your actual game that is if I'm correct, the only one that's published right now is Stinky Snake.
Yes.
Um, I have dabbled in it a little bit. I've completed the first 5 levels of it.
Dylan,
Just
tell her the truth. How did you do?
so.
It's not perfect. It was done in 1 year. If
That's
I
Was
impressive.
it?
showed you the new Stinky Snake that's coming, it would be, oh God. That
Oh,
was
is there?
before. Oh.
I was just gonna ask, is there a Stinky Snake 2 in the works? Because I would absolutely play it. I did have some fun. I mean, I'm not much of a platformer type of guy, as it is. As I've talked about multiple times on the show, I'm a big sports game guy, which I could talk for hours about. But I enjoyed the game. I think the art is fantastic. I think the music is fantastic. Um, and I was just going to ask what the future of the company is.
Okay. I was planning on doing a demo of we have a Stinky Snake revamp.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Cool.
Basically everything that we've learned in the last 3 years packaged together and redo. And I was going to get the demo out this morning so that when I got on here, I could sound really
Oh,
important and, oh,
ah.
I don't have uh, well, but freaking reality,
Of course.
probably in a day or so after I've graded all people's assignments and submit my reports.
Sure.
So the idea in a month or so have this revamp of Stinky Snake. Basically, what we've learned, that was us diving into making a game. No apologies. This is what we want to do. Don't care. We're doing it.
Sure.
Awesome.
Um, so in a couple of days, there's a demo that's gonna be on our Discord, and I'll put it on Instagram. And then
Awesome.
basically pull what's out there and replace it with the new Stinky Snake. And then start another promotion. I know that's not the way you do it, but it's my company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if someone enjoyed the first, they're gonna really enjoy the second. Okay.
Sure.
Awesome.
I played with water reflection. So you're going along the platform
Oh,
and you'll see yourself, you know.
awesome.
Oh, very cool.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
There you go.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna use this time selfishly.
Mhm.
So I'm very so one of my side passions, obviously besides gaming, is entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Dylan and I are now co-founders of the Cracked Game Podcast, really the Cracked Media LLC is what we call it. Um, I want to pick your brain about being a founder, about starting a company with 5 kids while being a teacher, about working that quote unquote day job and having to get your passion project done. And are you able to sort of talk about that? Like, what was
Sure, sure.
what was
Ask,
the
ask.
um so I guess when was the company founded? Let's start there.
2017, and I should remember the day because it was the day that I was neutered or spayed or whatever you want to call it. By the end of day, you won't have health insurance, and here I am used to these wonderful tech company health insurance where
Sure.
you go to the doctor and you don't worry.
Absolutely.
I can totally
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So that was in 2017. Um, let's see. And we finished Stinky Snake within a year. It was like that had to be done. I had all these ideas, but about feature creep. Let me
Yeah.
change this one thing, and then 6 months later, you know. So,
Now,
yeah.
do you mind if I and feel free if you do not want to talk about the financials at all, but
Hmm.
you've founded the company totally yourself, I'm
Yes.
assuming?
Self-funding, retirement account, you know.
Yes. So really putting your sort of your money where your mouth is for
Yes.
sure.
I put everything in there, okay? All of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love
So,
it. And now are you guys profitable at this point? Are you able to talk about the sales of Stinky Snake? How's that worked for
we're
you?
we're not we did better on iOS and on Android than we did on Steam. Um,
Okay.
we
Okay.
ended up okay, we ended up with a lot of we gave out a lot of codes for people to play.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's a lot of people playing it, but not a lot of people buying it. How's that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is that
And
something that is that
mhm.
something you regret?
um no, 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 it's we're beginning, okay? And we have two or three other games that are being worked on.
Oh.
So it's
Oh.
um and we just finally got our PS4 and PS5's coming dev kits.
Wow.
So think about it.
Wow.
So we're not just a one game thing, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's it's
You're in
yeah.
it. You're in
I
it.
did I did cover my boards on the wall. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So
So
we're in it.
yeah. So is your target market for the rest of your games that you're going to be coming out with also children for the most part, or are you going to be branching out to kind of all age groups?
The first game had to fit the 7-year-old because when we started, Bridget was 7
Sure.
I
and
love it.
early
I'm so about it.
teens. Now
Hmm.
that she's 10, but the littlest one is younger, but she's not here yet. So
Oh.
we're good for now. The next
Awesome.
game that comes out, or the next, I think Stinky Snake will always be children in a way,
Sure.
Yep.
but at some point, Stinky Snake's gonna have to go to college and deal with being grown up. So that's kind of the future for that.
I see.
But we have Penny. It's a play on it's on our website. It's a
Yeah, I
play
saw
on
that.
Homer's Odyssey. You know, did he come
Cool.
back for his wife or just his nation? You know,
Sure.
so it's kind of that will be more teen, young adult. You know, it's a way to force the kids to read the darn book. Yeah, not force. I don't force. I facilitate.
Exactly.
Facilitate. I love that.
And I offer encouragement or the opposite.
Dylan takes the same approach with me as my co-founder. Sometimes he offers me the carrot, and sometimes it's the stick. He comes
Hmm.
after me some hard sometimes.
The bucket of water.
Yeah, exactly.
You tripped.
Exactly.
You tripped the cable. No one did. You did.
What
So
is what is the first? So I play a lot of games. I've never built one. I'm quote unquote self-taught in terms of like an HTML coder or web development.
please don't ever say HTML coder.
Oh boy, see there you go. Now I've
Please
embarrassed
don't ever
myself.
say HTML coder.
I've
If a
embarrassed myself
guy
already.
said, I want to date you, I'm an HTML coder.
I thought that sounded good. You didn't think so? No, you weren't feeling it.
No, no, it didn't. That's like the worst. Sorry.
I've
It's
dabbled a little bit in HTML.
okay.
What is the first step to building a game?
Believing that you could do that.
Okay.
Believing in yourself. Okay. You can have the idea, you can have the skills, but you never finish it if you don't believe and sticking with it. Because there are times when hearing the same music over and over again, when you're trying to tweak something, it's like starting the car and you're like,
Yeah.
you gotta love the idea you're working with, or it ain't gonna get done. That's
Sure.
really bad English right there. Ain't gonna
That was
get done.
perfect.
Yeah.
That was
It's
perfect.
an alternative to cursing, so so first step, believing that it can be done.
And so then I'm curious then as well. So then, so you've so at a certain point you founded the company. You've sort of poured your heart, soul, and finances, into this. Your family's involved. On a more philosophical level, what does success for DB Addict Studios look like to you? And then
Hmm.
also, what is success personally to you?
Okay. That first, we can't even play this because it was a stepfather streamer who had his stepdaughter playing, and the father, while they were streaming, blew a gasket. So we never could air this, but that was the first time someone was playing it on live, and the reactions from this little girl, okay, was like everybody. We watched it at our kitchen table, and it was like I was actually crying a little bit. Well, I was kind of cleaning my glasses a little bit,
That's where we're
you
going.
know, because it went from these stick figures to these drawings to somebody actually understanding what we're doing. So success for us, the it wasn't the sales, it was going to all these shows and people, kids, you could see people being pulled in, the colors, the color scheme. We didn't really spend a lot of time in that, but the new version, we spent 6 months on the visuals. How does this make you feel? And how the colors, how the different things, bits and bobs make you feel. So we kind of we tried our best the first time, but the next one coming, you'll see the difference. But it was nice seeing how kids were always drawn to Stinky Snake.
Yeah.
Even at PAX, you can watch the crowd go and you could see the little kids. You could see the draw.
Yeah.
There's this rawness about it, that pulled children in. And so for me, that was a huge success, being able to get people's attention in a positive way. It would be nice to be a big name, but come on, we just started,
Yeah. Yeah. Of
we
course.
just started, and I didn't grow up with video games.
Right.
So here I am trying to create something that I didn't have as a little kid. So I'm kind of experiencing it for the first time, and so that I think it was successful, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, it just not financially, it didn't bring buckets, the big bags of cash that
Sure.
one would hope for,
Sure.
but it doesn't happen. I don't believe stuff like this happen just bam, bam, bam. You need to put in the effort, learn, rinse and repeat, keep at it. Okay.
Yeah.
Think my system agreed. Yeah, so yeah, we haven't reached that big financial success that one would, the Mercedes or the whatever. But I
Right.
still have a relatively new car. I still, well, it's relatively new, meaning it's old. It's 6 years old.
And if I can interject, so if you're listening to this episode on podcast and you're not watching the YouTube, I suggest you go check out the YouTube video of this podcast because it is so evident that you are just happy, enthusiastic about what you're doing. You're
Absolutely.
passionate.
Hmm.
Dylan, you did say the skunks got the better. What did you call the skunks? Crafty? What did
I
you
called them. I called them tactical. I called them
the
tactical.
tactical skunks?
I was. At least for the first like level or two, I was having a tough time. Like I jumped into this and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be fantastic. Like I'm gonna blow through this. This is gonna be no problem. I'll finish all the levels and it'll be no problem. I got through like I said, I got through like 5 levels today, and I was like, I need to put this down.
Uh, it gets worse.
Does it?
My children have decided that I don't do level design like I did this time because I basically got a little psychotic there for a moment. You know, I'm like, I drew this big thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know.
Sure. Oh my goodness.
Oh, oh, sorry.
No, no
Okay.
problem. I loved it. I was very happy to be challenged once I picked
He
it
needs
up.
to
I
be
just didn't expect to be.
he needs to be humbled more often.
Oh, oh. Well, here's the thing with Stinky Snake. I grew up on a little island called Montserrat, and the levels of the game starts at one end of that island, and it's
Mm,
actually going to particular towns.
Oh,
And the
very cool.
difficulty of the level is indicative of how much stress I might have experienced in that
Oh, very cool.
town. So the town of Salem, where I was born, which is level 6, I believe,
okay.
it's gonna get really funky.
Oh, wonderful. I can't
Oh, that's
wait.
um,
awesome.
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah.
That's really
So
cool.
I hope I answer all your questions okay. All right.
Yeah, no, you've been great. Do you have anything else for her?
No, I mean it was just great to hear all your perspectives and hear the story that went into the work here. The work that you're doing is really amazing and um,
Yeah.
it's awesome. The family aspect of the company is just great to see. Putting all your time and effort into this is, I'm sure, very stressful, especially with COVID and everything going on. Um, I can only
No
imagine the effect.
conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Hmm.
And just your story of what success means to you is just really, really touching to hear. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I want to echo that. Taking your time out of I'm sure a busy evening for you. Is there anything, Darlene, that you want to say to the audience? Anything that you feel like we haven't touched on that you want to get out there? You already mentioned that we have a Stinky Snake remaster.
Hmm.
Um, this is your sort of give it a selfish plug or anything about your
Okay.
story that you want to get out there, or
Okay.
maybe just shout out the children, say, thanks for tagging along with mom. I don't know.
Oh, they're upstairs playing games, you know. They're ignoring
Excellent.
me right now, so that's okay. I'm okay with being ignored until you'll probably see a monster head come through because, whenever I'm in a meeting of any kind, Annabelle will show up. You'll just see a head. And then I notice people are looking weird and I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's Annabelle." But we do have a Stinky Snake remaster coming. I am going to be putting the demo on our Discord, and
And
it's
how can
for
people find
PC.
that?
It'll be in it's DB Addict Studios on
Okay.
Discord.
Okay,
It's
great.
the name of the company. You
Great.
know, you can find us anywhere online, DB Addict Studios. That was the first thing when you're starting a company. Okay, when you're dreaming about starting a company, make sure everywhere you go, your company is there by your name. One name, so you can always be found. That I
Okay.
did.
There we go. Yeah.
I'm not a marketing person, but I realized that that was one of the best moves I made. While I'm sitting there crying about being laid off, I'm like, all right,
Sure.
Deviatic Studios, Deviatic
Sure.
Studios.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And if I
So.
may say, you've built up quite a following for yourself, at least on your social media pages,
Mhm.
your gameplays. you know, um, that's impressive. You're talking to two guys that are, sort of struggling down the same path. So,
Mhm.
I am very impressed and
Yeah.
have, sort of thoroughly enjoyed picking
Yeah.
your brain for my own
Yeah.
selfish reasons.
Well, I saw your following and I guess I discussed it with my future business manager, and I'm like, they're starting too, you know. Yeah, let's do it. And she was
Oh, we
like,
appreciate it.
yeah, because uh, when the tomorrow is when the video and the
Yep.
audio will be ready, I'll
Correct.
post about it on my feed. I figured when there's something solid for people to go for,
Yeah, no,
Right.
I'll put
absolutely.
it on my feed. I can't promise it'll be like 10,000 people running because,
Oh, no,
you
not
know,
not at all. Not at all.
this is social media, all right?
Yeah, no, no, not
For
at all.
sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, really just to say that I think, and I think a lot of, if I can speak for you, a lot
Mhm.
of your following probably are people that are just enamored with your story, which Dylan and I quickly,
Cool.
became
Yeah.
so.
Well, here's the thing. When I did Darlene Codes, it used to be Darlene Barker, and I wanted people to know me. The person you see is the person you're going to see if you run into me on the street.
Yeah.
Um, I was somewhere. I won't say where I was, and someone said, "You're that girl from social media," and I said, "Yeah, that's me."
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
I'm the
That's
same
awesome.
person.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get one persona, and then when you meet me, it's like that's not the person. You know.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So that's one of my being authentic, I guess, is what I try to be. So when I started doing a little bit more with coding and encouraging other people, I figured Darlene codes. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oops, sorry. I was a sailor. I'm sorry, okay?
No. No. Not at all. Not at all.
So with Darlene codes, my hope is to show that um developers come in different shades, different backgrounds, you know. And for me, I didn't have anybody like me.
Right.
So maybe there are others like me, that I could help along or not like me.
Yeah.
I did have at one of the conventions, I had this little girl run up to me and she hugs me and she's like, I want to be like you when I grow up. Um, two guesses what that little girl looked like. She had blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Unpack that one for a moment.
Yeah.
It actually made me cry for a moment. I'm like, is she crazy? I didn't say that,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
still sticks with me. And then there are those little girls that run over, their brothers are playing and they're like, I want to play too. I'm like, yep, pull out my phone, you sit and play. And the brothers are like, but we want to play too. Sorry. Sorry, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I really appreciate you having me on here. This is my first time. I hope I didn't curse. So
No, you
that's
did
good. That's good.
you did a great job.
Phenomenal job.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not lost on me. So we spent a lot of time talking about your company, your studio, and the Stinky Snake game. We'll have to have you back to sort of talk about being a black woman in software and technology, and that's a long topic, and something I'm sure that
Yeah.
we can dive really deep into. So we'll have you back, and
I'll be back.
it'll be great.
I'm here. I appreciate it. I must say, 2 or 3 years ago, I was asked to talk on that topic, and I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to touch that one. I
Yeah.
don't want to put a bullet on me. Oh dear. I don't want to put a mark on me.
Yep. Yep.
But
Sure.
over the years, I'm proud of what I do. Okay?
As you should be.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyways, but thank you for having me, okay?
Thanks for
Um,
coming on.
as soon as you have your links, just let me know and I'll post about it and yeah, see
Awesome.
what attention I could throw back at you. How's
Well,
that?
we appreciate it. We
Definitely
appreciate it.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That is episode 9 of the Cracked Gaming Podcast. A truly phenomenal guest, Darlene from at Darlene Codes on Instagram. Be sure to go follow her. and then play Stinky Snake because it got the best of Dylan, which I am thrilled about. All right, guys. Until
Bye.
next week, it has been an absolute